And my name is Mary Foston. I've been in the business for about 17 years. So for those who have very many questions about insurance, you can always come. If you have any doubts that it works, you can always come and I can tell you about it. So how do we protect our wealth through insurance? How do we do that? So when you're building your financial foundation, if you've seen this cake, financial cake, the first thing you need to do is have proper protection. So what is proper protection? So because you have debt, I know you have emergency fund, you think about investment. Everybody's talking about investment here, right? But without proper protection, let me tell you, that investment is not good, okay? As we are going to see. So let's see, what do you protect? So any form of insurance is protection. Did you know any form of insurance is protection? All right. So you have life against death, of course, and sickness. You have health, car, home, renters, business, and so many other insurance. In fact, there are people who protect their hands, right? Like doctors. We know some models who protect their legs. You know, there are many things you can protect. Insurance is important. All right? So, next slide, please. All right. But the primary purpose of life insurance, because it's the most important, is death. It's a death benefit. All right? And as a business owner, we have so many business owners here. Raise your hand if you have a business. All right? Very good. So the first thing is financial security for your family. If something happens to you, you want your family to live the same lifestyle or even better, right? So with what the beneficiary gets, at least they're able to continue without being financially devastated. You also want to ensure that there's continuity of your business. You don't want your business to die when you die, right? So life insurance can provide necessary funds to keep your business operating even after your death. Let's go next. All right. So when you're choosing life insurance, this is where you don't know, how do I choose life insurance? Which product do I pick? There are so many of them. But let me tell you, they all fall in only two categories. There is term policy, but there are so many forms of term policies. This is just a temporary life insurance. You can buy it for 10, 20, or 30 years. But it's also very important for business owners, all right? So with this type of policy, it helps your business. In case like you have a big business and you need a very big policy, a term policy is affordable, okay? So you can use it for the same purpose. In case something happens to you, right? Then it pays out. Then there's permanent life insurance. There are so many types of permanent life insurance, all right? So to mention a few, we have whole life and universal life, okay? So this is just term plus cash, all right? So with these types of policies, they build cash value over time, all right? As we're gonna see later, then you don't pay taxes inside of life insurance, so the money inside of your life insurance grows tax deferred, all right? And you can potentially borrow against your life policy, do something called a policy loan. Next slide. So, you know, life happens. So when you're buying any form of life insurance, the most important thing, the most important features inside of life insurance is the living benefit. You want to be able to access your policy when you're still alive, not just when you die, right? And that is, in fact, the biggest protection inside of life insurance. Okay, we are talking about all these investments. We talk about all these types of policies. I know you even have phone insurance. You have home insurance. You have wife insurance, children insurance, whatever you have, right? But who pays for that policy? You. Right? So if you get sick, we've seen so many Kenyans getting sick here. Critical illnesses, chronic illnesses, getting into long-term care. You know, Kenyans, we are good at contributing when somebody dies, right? There's just something that touches your heart when you hear somebody has died, and you don't even know the people. We just want to contribute. But when somebody gets sick, how many people go to see these people? Can you afford to not go to your job and go take care of them? No. And that's why, guys, we have to buy life insurance with living benefits. What are the living benefits inside of life insurance? Critical illnesses, in case you're critically ill, in case you're chronically ill, and in case you fall into long-term care. You can have an accident. Don't be looking at long-term care as old people. No. Okay? Anybody can get sick. Anybody can get into an accident, a real bad accident, and you cannot perform activities of daily living. All right? So what happens when you fall sick, if you have a chronic or a critical illness, let's say you have $1 million policy, right? Life insurance is a death benefit. So if you die, what happens? It pays out to the beneficiary. But when you're sick, the $1 million becomes alive, and you're able to start using that money. So if it's a chronic or a critical illness, you may get at least up to, they say 90%, but it's not really the 90%. You know, insurance, they have ways of looking at how much you qualify, but you get a good amount of money out of that, okay? So now you don't have to depend on anybody, all right? So you even get well faster if you don't have the stress of money, right? In case of long-term care, it pays out to 2% or 4% of that cash value. Now, instead of liquidating your assets, or the assets we are going to be buying from in Kenya, okay? Instead of liquidating those assets, you know, how can you liquidate an asset in Kenya when you're here? What's going to happen? Inflation, right? So, and then the money even inside of your bank, your checking, your savings, your 401k, it's safe because now you're going to use the insurance money, all right? So then, as a business owner, there are other strategies you can use inside of life insurance. So you have the key person, life insurance. Like Laban, I'm sure you spend a lot of money training people, right? Especially like your managers, the key people in your business. Imagine that person dies. By the time you get somebody else to train them, it took years to train that person. So what happens is the company owns this policy, and now the death benefit is paid to the company, and the company is able to continue and hire other people and train them. Also, as a business owner, you can buy-sell agreement policies. These are like if you have a joint ownership. So if your partner dies, okay, you are able to buy out from maybe the spouse. Because the spouse, if let's say like you're doctors, your spouse is not a doctor, how is she going to run that clinic, right? So she can actually be able to sell the part of her business to the other co-owner. Then you have the executive bonus. This is very attractive, by the way, for business owners. So with an executive bonus, this is a life insurance policy offered to an executive of the company, like you're the executive of the company, and then the company pays the premiums, the company is the payer, and then you, as the executive, you're able to deduct from the premiums is tax exempt, and also when somebody dies, guess what? The beneficiaries of this executive are able to receive the benefits. It's also very attractive for like you want to give benefits to the people who work for you. You can give them these like a 401k, okay? So you can give them that as a benefit. And the reason why it's attractive, because it's tax-free. Next slide, please. So then now, let's talk about taxes. I've been mentioning taxes. Taxes inside of life insurance. Under the IRS revenue service, you do not pay taxes inside of life insurance. Do you know why you don't pay taxes inside of life insurance? Because it comes out of your checking or your savings account. That is considered the money has already been taxed at the end of the year. So whatever grows inside of your life insurance is not taxed And then also, as a death benefit, it's not taxed. And also, the cash value and the loans, whatever you take out, is completely tax-free. I don't know why you're afraid of life insurance. It remains one of the best products in the country. Okay? Next slide. All right. So as a business owner, there are 4 things to consider. You need to consider, is my money growing? Okay? And is my money safe from the market? All right? In case of a risk. And do I have tax advantages? And do I have protection? So protection, of course, you know it's a long-term care, critical, and all that. Then you also have the tax advantages. You also have tax-deferred earnings. And we have you don't lose money. So do you know the only product, and I can actually tell you confidently, that will follow these 4 boxes is only life insurance? With policies like Index Universal Life, you can get up to 13% interest. You have guarantees of maybe 0 or 1%. You never go down. And then also you have tax advantages. Why don't you pay taxes inside of life insurance? Because you've already paid taxes, right? And then it's a protection. So inside of life insurance, you can get those 4. So since you have the long-term care, then it's a big umbrella that protects all your assets. So that is a managed growth, all right? So, and just to mention one more thing, there's one policy that is very important for all of us. It's called final expense. A final expense product is just life insurance to put you on the ground. The good thing about the policies like those, the one for burial, they come with something called concierge. With a concierge, it's just like when you come to a hotel. Do you pay for towels? Do you pay like for them to put your luggage at the ballroom? You don't, right? You don't pay for the soap. So the concierge service inside of a final expense helps you, let's say like you want to be shipped to Kenya. It helps with that service, okay? It helps you negotiate prices when it comes to the caskets and all the things that you need for final expense. This is a policy that every immigrant needs to buy, all right? It helps all of us. We don't have to keep contributing. It costs maybe at $50 for most of you here, right? So you need to consider that one. Next slide, and I'm almost done. So Jack Ma said, buy insurance cannot change your life, but it prevents your lifestyle from being changed. An illness can wipe out an entire family's savings that they have saved for decades by the medical bills. Is that true? You will not turn bankrupt because of buying life insurance, but you will cause your loved ones to turn bankrupt if you don't. That is Jack Ma. So let's go to the next slide. So we give free financial workshops, just like I'm talking to you, and so many other things that you need to know. Then you can take free financial workshops. You can come. I have some flyers there. You can scan the QR code and get access to the free financial workshops. The about insurance is the 3rd one, preparing with proper protection, and so many other things. You need to learn about Social Security. Do you want to know how much money you're going to get when you retire? Social Security? Some of you think because you've worked for a long time, you're going to get about maybe $20,000. Can I tell you, even Bill Gates does not get $4,000? Okay? So rate yourself. If Bill Gates gets about $44,000, how much are you going to get? So that's why investment is important. And the next slide. So you can also scan and please do a survey for us. We have a survey that for you to do for us. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for giving me this time.